William Shakespeare, Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 4. Assume a virtue, if you have it not. That monster, custom, who all sense doth eat, of habits devil, is angel yet in this, that to the use of actions fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery, that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, the next more easy, for use almost can change the stamp of nature. This advice, request or command from Hamlet to his mother, summarizes the Hierophant's teaching to the pupil in the mystery schools of initiation. It is good advice to anyone and conveys a profound knowledge concerning not only how we can better our own lives and behavior, but also how we can become creators or modelers of our own lives, transcending nature and the natural desires passed on in the genes and by social convention and custom. In fact, it gives a clue as to how even our genes or DNA can be remodeled. One of the fundamental teachings to any would-be initiate or adept is to lose any attachment to natural desires. That is to say, whilst it is not necessarily wrong to have desires, as long as they are good ones, but a better state is to be completely free of being controlled by any such desires. Desires that have become habits tend to take control of our lives, controlling us rather than we controlling them. We might start off thinking we are in control, and indeed might be in control when we have the initial desire, but eventually we can lose our control when it becomes established as a habit. When our desires are base, selfish, or dishonorable, or become so, then to be controlled by them is indeed a problem. We then become like slaves rather than free persons. In this short piece of advice, Shakespeare, in the guise of Hamlet, tells us the secret that, even though custom or habit can devour all sense or reason that we might otherwise have, nevertheless the same tempting devil, as Hamlet calls it, can play the role of the redeeming angel. That is to say, we can set up a new habit with a better intention or desire that will ultimately transcend and get rid of the old, unwanted habit by replacing it with the better habit. It is a process of redemption. A good illustration of this redemptive process was given in an emblem to be found in Minerva Britannia by Henry Peacham, an emblem book published in Shakespeare's time, 1612. This is the emblem on page 34, dedicated to the most judicious and learned Sir Francis Bacon, Knight. It portrays a shepherd with a spear who is in the process of spearing a poisonous snake that has just bitten him. The shepherd knight is a typical Arcadian figure used by the Elizabethan and Jacobean poets. He is also a symbol of the contemporaneous Rosicrucians, whose land was said to be Arcadia. The emblem's verses declare that the fat of the viper can provide healing for the wound, neutralizing the poison. Not only is this actually true in respect of the snake, i.e., there is a chemical in a snake's blood that prevents the snake being poisoned by its own venom and the venom of other species, but it is a metaphor for the habits that govern and can poison us, but whose fat or substance, i.e. principle, can be used to change bad habits to good and heal the poison. Following the mythology of the spear shakers, Apollo, Athena, the Gemini, and St. George, who shake their spears at the dragons of ignorance and vice in order to generate enlightened knowledge and virtue, this action is likened in the second verse of the emblem to the healing of society by taking away the poison of foul vice through the use of wholesome laws made by a wise and virtuous king. In terms of our own selves, the laws that rule us are our desires, our will, which we obey through our actions and habits. Each of us is a king of our own realm, and our society is our psyche with all its sub-personalities. Hamlet further points out that, even if we do not possess any noticeable virtues, nevertheless we can pretend with a pure heart that we are virtuous. Eventually, if this becomes an established habit, we may become virtuous in fact. The vice has then been replaced or, to choose another description, redeemed or transmuted to a virtue.